Hi everyone! You may remember that the Calyx Cafe is under renovations. So today, I'd like to share another interview that I recorded at DIA Global this summer. Trust me, this episode will motivate you for the day. I had the pleasure to talk to Horowitz from Sproutel, who develop companion animals that provide emotional support for children who go through clinical trials. He shares some very interesting insights about how he and his team engage with children as part of the product design process. A must-watch episode. Let's jump right in. Hi everyone, we're at Calyx Cafe live from DIA, and today I'm talking to Horowitz, and he came with some friends, and we're going to talk about that. Oh, hello.
It's okay. Yeah.
Hi Erin, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank you for joining us. Are you enjoying the conference so far?
I'm loving it. Meeting so many people that I've seen virtually and now get to, be in person with. So very grateful.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that as well. So what is your favorite hot drink? We're at Calyx Cafe after all.
So my favorite hot drink these days is jasmine green tea.
Oh, nice. I love that. Yeah. And I'm a very big green tea drinker as well. So yeah, we've got that in common. So what do you do? And then maybe you could explain to us what those friends are doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sproutel, and we create tools for behavior change and emotional support for children, particularly children with illness.
Okay.
So we've been doing this work for about 11 years, and our methodology is using companions that are just like children that have the same disease as kids to engage them in their health.
Okay. Wow.
So what we're looking at here are two examples of our products. This is my special Aflac duck, which is a companion for children with cancer and sickle cell disease.
Okay.
It helps them communicate how they feel through all sorts of, I'll open this backpack right here, really neat discs that when you tap to the duck's chest, the duck expresses that emotion. So it really helps these young kids communicate with their caregivers if they're sick, if they're sad, if they're angry. But you can also give your duck chemotherapy. And there's all sorts then of other distraction therapy techniques that kids use as they go through. So this is the duck's chemo port, which we can put on their chest.
Okay.
And there's that feeling of having something just like you that's experiencing the same thing could be so comforting for kids.
That's amazing. I love the idea. How did you come up with this idea, actually?
I actually grew up as a patient. I grew up with human growth hormone deficiency.
Okay.
And so for about 5 years of my childhood, I self-administered injections every day. And really what struck out for me from that experience was the experience in doctors' offices.
Yeah.
Being with a doctor and being with my parents and having them talk right through me to my parents, right?
Yeah.
And so I became really passionate about how we help children be in the driver's seat, feel in control when they're having these situations. And I actually went to school here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the very first product was conceived while I was in school.
Really? Wow.
So I helped us co-found an organization called Design for America, which is all about using design to solve problems with impact. And the first project was, how do we help people with type 1 diabetes? And so we went out, we started talking to families. And inevitably, every child we talked to with type 1 diabetes, they had a teddy bear or a stuffed penguin or a monkey that they gave diabetes to.
Okay.
They injected that stuffed animal. They drew little insulin pumps on pieces of paper. So that was our light bulb moment, right? We said, kids are projecting everything that they're experiencing onto these plushies. How can we bring that experience to life? How can we make it educational? So that product we ended up launching as Jerry the Bear, which we now have partnered with the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and it's their Rufus the Bear character, and it's distributed globally at no cost to every child with type 1 diabetes.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that is kind of the beginning of this journey that then has cascaded into this product for children with, cancer and sickle cell, and our latest product, Purble, for kids with anxiety.
Wow. I love that. And we talk about patient centricity so much on Calyx Cafe.
and that's the like definition of patient centricity, because you work directly with patients, you listen to them, and then you make them feel better about their treatment. It's incredible. I love it.
Thank you. And
Well done.
we actually use a design process we've developed. We call it a patient-centered, empathy-driven design process. So each of our products, we don't sit in a room and come up with the ideas. We're always out in the hospitals.
Yeah.
For this duck, we partnered with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and we interviewed 100 families. And we were in that hospital, in children's rooms, really learning about their lived experience, which can be so challenging.
Yeah. How do you get children to explain or express what they feel when you're working on a new product?
It's a phenomenal question, because it's one of the most difficult parts of the process. And what it really starts with is getting children to be comfortable with you, right? Like, we're big, scary adults, and we're coming in to ask them questions, right?
Yes.
And so we start out by talking about their favorite TV shows. Do you like Paw Patrol? Do you like Bluey, right? You have to develop that repertoire of understanding what their language is and what are their favorite toys. And then we start getting into, can you tell us a little bit about why you're here? And we also use all sorts of visual scales. So there's Likert scale and the smile scales, and asking them how they feel about certain things. Sometimes we'll make up games. So, to develop all of these emoji tokens, we actually mapped from our interviews, qualitatively, we use coding to map all of the most frequent emotions that children were feeling. And then we went into the rooms and we had printed out all of those emotions on a sheet of paper. And we played a game of matching. We also printed out the whole iOS and Android emoji set.
Okay.
And we asked them to match the emoji to the feeling, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'll get somewhere with this story, because it actually revealed something really interesting. We have a card in here that's the calm card.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old doesn't yet know the word calm.
Okay. Yeah.
But we had to explain it to kids. We're like, well, it's like being in a bubble bath. It's like being wrapped in your favorite blanket. Every child unanimously chose the same emoji out of 200 and some odd emojis. Right?
Really?
And so using this process of listening to patients is really difficult, because you have to come up with ways to communicate with kids, right? And get on their level. They now have a voice to express a feeling that they otherwise might not have been able to vocalize. So creative techniques, I would say, is really how we understand the child patient.
Yeah. Amazing. And so you were telling us that you're also planning on working on like patient-facing apps, or I assume children-facing apps. Is that right?
Exactly. So, for the past 11 years, we've created these tools that are educational, that are comforting, that are engaging children in their healthcare. And we've always been really interested in how we continue to add value, not just to children, but to healthcare itself. And so clinical trials became this really exciting opportunity for us. And we've just started developing a new product. We actually call them clinical companions. And they're companions that match the same protocol that children are going through in the trial.
Okay.
So it's a PK trial. Well, that companion is going through those same blood draws that you are. So you can configure the companion with the trial protocol, and the child at home takes care of the companion in the same way they're being cared for. If it's an oral therapy, if it's an injectable, they have something that's going through the very same thing. And every time you go into the site, you get an unlockable character that reveals itself in the app. So we're encouraging and incentivizing as well this notion of these repeat visits, which can be so hard. As we've interviewed families, we hear time and time again about medical trauma, about as families start to drive up to the hospital, their child starts crying, right? And just imagining that feeling, we can't change what's in the trial, but how do we help reframe that experience for children and help give them tools to cope with the experience?
Yeah. I'm sure it would work with adults as well, actually.
Maybe that's the next product.
Retention, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, getting a little sleepy.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. I absolutely love it. As I said, I love the fact that it's just for patients, that you're listening to patients, giving them a voice, and then giving them something that makes them feel better about taking part in a clinical trial. So very nice talking to you.